In a world driven by instant reactions, where every slight demands an immediate response, true power lies not in speed, but in restraint. A man who reacts first is a man who loses control, ensnared by the timing of others, a puppet dancing to the rhythm of someone else's agenda. While he scrambles to counter, his opponent is already laying the next trap, orchestrating the battlefield to their advantage. This subtle truth underpins why the most formidable figures, whether in ancient courts, modern corporations, or political arenas, appear calm, almost glacially deliberate. Their composure is not a mark of weakness, but a testament to a profound understanding. Timing is power, and the one who reacts first is often the first to fall. Niccolò Machiavelli, the master strategist, cautioned against predictability, but his deeper warning was against the reflex of immediate responsiveness. In the intricate chessboard of politics, the one who reacts hastily reveals their hand, exposing their emotional state, their desperation, or their lack of leverage. The true power player operates differently. They wait, observe, and allow others to unveil their fears, intentions, and degree of control. Only when the landscape is fully illuminated do they make their move. This is not cowardice, it is precision. It is the art of shaping outcomes by mastering one's own impulses, turning restraint into a weapon sharper than any outburst. In our era of instant messages, viral outrage, and relentless emotional bait, the ability to withhold reaction is nothing short of psychological invincibility. To react is to surrender in disguise. The moment someone provokes you into a response, they strip away your balance, your detachment, and your ability to choose the terms of engagement. Provocateurs thrive on the impulsive, but they tremble before the one who gazes through them, unmoved, the one who listens without betraying a flicker of emotion, who communicates through silence. You are not worth my energy. Not yet. This quiet defiance unnerves, for it signals a mind that cannot be easily manipulated. Machiavelli's model of power was not rooted in haste, but in disciplined restraint, an emotional fortress that allowed chaos to unfold on the adversary's side. First, consider the great betrayals of history. The fool reacts instantly, shouting for justice, expending energy in a flurry of indignation. The master, however, bides their time, gathering intelligence, consolidating their position, and striking only when the moment maximizes their gain. The one who moves first must guess, committing to a course before the full picture emerges. In war, generals bait enemies into premature attacks, forcing them to reveal their strategies and exhaust their resources. Once committed, the attacker cannot retract. A fatal misstep mirrored in verbal disputes, negotiations, or psychological warfare. The one who reacts first does more than reveal their position. They become trapped within it. Acting impulsively is akin to gambling without seeing the table, betting blindly while your opponent holds the cards. By contrast, even a brief delay, mere seconds of silence, forces others to expose more. You observe their hesitations, their adjustments, their cracks in confidence. You gauge their reach, their fears, their vulnerabilities. This silence is not passive. It is a tool for gathering intelligence, an edge that tilts the dynamic in your favor. Every pause is a probe, every moment of restraint, a step toward dominance. People betray themselves when you refuse to react. Silence unnerves most, stirring discomfort that compels them to fill the void. In their scramble to provoke a response, they overexpose, revealing insecurities, motives, and emotional states. All you did was hold your tongue. Machiavelli mastered this in the courts of Renaissance Italy, entering with minimal words, letting others assume and prattle. When they believed they had him deciphered, he would deliver a concise, piercing statement that shifted the room's gravity. His victories came not from volume, but from forcing others to unravel themselves through their own loquacity. This principle applies directly to your life when pressured to respond immediately, whether by a colleague's challenge, a rival's taunt, or a public accusation. Resist. Let the aggressor stew in their own discomfort. Timing is your weapon, wielded with intent. To the untrained eye, a delayed reaction may seem like hesitation, but to the strategist, it is leverage. A pause before answering a question lends your words weight, signaling thoughtfulness over emotion. A delay in confrontation creates tension, forcing others to second-guess their approach, their confidence eroding under the pressure of your silence. When insulted, resist the urge to clap back, hold eye contact, say nothing, and let the silence solidify. That absence of response inflicts a deeper wound than any retort, for it leaves the aggressor wondering, replaying their words, haunted by the unknown. The imagination punishes far more severely than reality ever could. Machiavelli understood this. The fear of the unknown compels submission more effectively than brute force. He wielded timing like a slow-acting poison, invisible yet relentless, eroding his opponent's resolve while he remained untouched. In high-stakes environments, be they political, corporate, or social, the first to react becomes the focal point, the benchmark, often the scapegoat. Real power does not chase fleeting victories. It seeks to command the dynamic. The one who watches, who lets others strike first, holds the advantage. Let them come to you. Let them reveal their hand. Let them attempt to corner you. Offer nothing until your silence becomes unbearable. Then act with such clarity and precision that they realize you were never idle. You were orchestrating. Control, not victory, is the ultimate prize. A temper may inspire fear, but a calculated mind inspires awe, enduring far beyond the fleeting terror of force. When others speak of you, let them whisper. They never speak unless it's necessary. They never reveal their hand, but when they move, the world shifts. This is untouchable power. By refusing to react first, you do not merely survive the moment, you own the game. You force others to play faster, louder, messier, while you remain the unshakable constant. In a world of noise, the one who masters silence, who refuses to be baited, who speaks only to end the conversation, wields a dominance that echoes long after the battle is won. First reaction equals first exposure, equals first target. In dangerous environments, political, corporate, or social, the first to speak becomes the focal point. The first to move becomes the benchmark, and often the first to react becomes the scapegoat. This is why real power doesn't seek to win the moment. It seeks to win the dynamic, and the dynamic is always tilted in favor of the one who watches. Let them come to you. Let them strike first. Let them try to corner you into a reaction, but give them nothing until your silence becomes unbearable. And then when you do act, do so with such disproportionate clarity that they realize you were never sleeping, you were waiting. Control is more powerful than victory. If you lash out and win, people fear your temper. If you wait, calculate and win, people fear your mind. This is what Machiavelli understood better than anyone. He didn't want to be seen as merely dangerous. He wanted to be seen as in control, because control survives longer than brute force. It earns respect that fear alone cannot, and it makes people think twice, not just about attacking you, but even about involving you. When people speak of you, let them say, "He never speaks unless it's necessary. She never shows her hand, but when she moves, everything changes. You won't even realize you lost until weeks later." That is what untouchable power sounds like. When you refuse to react first, you're not surrendering the moment. You're owning the game board. You're forcing everyone else to play faster, louder, sloppier, and in that chaos, you are the constant. The one who cannot be shaken, the one who cannot be baited, the one who, when he finally speaks, ends the conversation. The most dangerous men are not those who speak first, shout the loudest, or charge into every battle with fists clenched. The most dangerous are the ones who don't flinch, who don't respond, who don't rush. They watch, they let everyone else burn energy, reveal intentions, form alliances out of fear, and when the time is right, when every card has been shown, they make one calculated move that shifts the balance entirely. This is Machiavellian patience, the quiet game of dominance that makes others act emotional while you remain untouchable, and it only works if you master the art of not reacting first ever. The trap of ego. They want you to defend yourself. The easiest way to bait a powerful person into weakness is to poke their pride, to question their credibility, to say things in public they know will make you want to respond. Because the moment you respond, you become predictable. Machiavelli's lesson is clear. Never defend yourself under pressure. Never take the bait of justification. The second you try to explain yourself, you're already beneath the person who accused you. A king does not argue with a peasant. A strategist does not explain their silence. If they misunderstood you, let them. If they spread rumors, let them talk. If they try to provoke, smile and leave them hanging, because nothing confuses the enemy more than refusing to validate their attacks with a reaction. Strategic passivity is power in disguise. Passive people are often seen as weak, but strategic passivity, chosen silence, chosen stillness, is control. It forces the world to tilt toward you. Not because you're loud, but because you've become the immovable piece everyone has to consider before making their next move. While others are driven by the need to speak, respond, correct, and engage, you're driven by the need to win. Let them chase status. You chase position. Let them chase arguments. You chase timing. Eventually they will exhaust themselves trying to pull you into a fight, but you won't move. Not until the silence has built so much weight that when you finally act, the blow is psychological, not just tactical, the weapon of delayed response. There is a reason powerful people do not respond immediately. It's not because they're unsure. It's because every delay shifts the psychological pressure back onto the opponent. Delay is dominance. It shows that you are not ruled by others, clocks, that you answer when you decide, not when summoned. In personal disputes, a pause before answering makes your opponent over-explain. A day of silence after an insult makes them question if they went too far. A week of no comment after a rumor lets the rumor rot under its own weight. Machiavelli would weaponize time like a scalpel, not because he needed to stall, but because he knew they would destroy themselves in the waiting. Emotions are bait. Let others reveal theirs first. Every emotional outburst is a confession. Anger reveals fear. Defensiveness reveals insecurity. Over-apologizing reveals guilt. When you react emotionally, even if you're right, you hand your opponent a map of your psychology. They now know what triggers you, what offends you, what you're desperate to protect. Machiavelli never showed anger unless it was part of the plan. He'd let others display their fury first, to learn how they operated, what their priorities were, what fears hid beneath their noise, and once he saw their weakness, he struck with calm, merciless precision. The lesson is this: let others feel first, let them bleed emotion. You stay composed because whoever stays composed controls the rhythm of the war. The power of being unreadable. There is a particular kind of fear that surrounds unreadable people. Those who do not react the way others expect. The ones whose faces reveal nothing, whose tone never shifts, whose timing cannot be predicted. This isn't about being robotic. It's about being deliberately untraceable. When people don't know what offends you, they don't know how to offend you. When they don't know what excites you, they don't know how to manipulate you. To be unreadable is to be ungraspable, and to be ungraspable is to be uncontrollable. If you want to be untouchable, learn to let others study your silence, while you study their desperation to break it. That desperation is your advantage. Let others make the first mistake. When you hold back your reaction, the burden of action falls on the other person, and people under pressure, especially when trying to manipulate you, often overplay their hand. They try too hard. They reveal too much. They move too early, and in doing so they create vulnerabilities that wouldn't have existed if you'd reacted first. Let them lie. Let them posture. Let them build their trap too wide. You stand just outside its reach, watching, waiting, letting them believe they've won. Then when they've exposed themselves, you move, and it doesn't have to be loud. One quiet, well-timed strike ruins 1,000 moves made in noise. In stillness, you become a mirror. One of Machiavelli's most subtle tactics was to let people project their thoughts, fears, and expectations onto him. He'd remain vague, quiet, unreadable, and in that vacuum, People would start imagining who he was. They'd assigned motives to him: paranoia, respect, fear, but it was all their own reflection. He simply mirrored it back. When you react first, you rob people of this projection, but when you remain still, they fill the silence with their own assumptions, often ones that serve your advantage. Let them think you're angry. Let them think you're weak. Let them guess. Every wrong assumption weakens their future strategy. Do nothing and let the room turn. Sometimes the greatest move is none at all. When a group turns against you, don't beg. When they whisper, don't defend. When they act unjustly, don't flail. Just wait. Watch. Let it play out. Because people who betray, slander, or provoke usually burn their own credibility in the process. If you give them enough rope, Machiavelli would sit through betrayals, knowing that over time factions would collapse on their own contradictions, and when they did, he'd step back in unchanged, unmoved, undamaged. The longer you can do nothing while others self-destruct, the more terrifying your presence becomes. They'll say he didn't even react. She didn't move a finger, and yet we lost. That's not just dominance, that's myth. You don't need to speak first. You don't need to respond at all. Let the world scream. Let the room turn. Let your enemies bleed their energy, trying to force your hand. Because when you master the power of silence, timing, and emotional stillness, you don't just become feared, you become untouchable. In the corridors of power, real authority is rarely the one giving the loudest speech. It's the one whose silence shifts the atmosphere. It's the one no one wants to speak before. The one whose opinion people wait for. The one whose reaction defines the room because it hasn't come yet. This is the final form of not reacting first, when you extend it beyond personal interaction and into social command. Machiavelli wasn't just a master of psychological warfare. He was a tactician of human environments. He knew how to control entire factions, circles, and courts by saying less than everyone else. Establish reputation through stillness, not assertion. In group settings, most people think reputation is earned through visibility, constant contributions, being the loudest voice, fighting for their ideas to be heard. But Machiavelli would argue the opposite. True dominance in a room comes from the one who speaks least, but moves most intentionally. Your silence isn't passive, it's charged. It makes others second-guess themselves. It makes them crave your input. And when you finally speak, even briefly, everyone listens, not because your voice is loud, but because your restraint has built value. The person who reacts first is always at the mercy of the conversation. The one who waits shapes the direction of the conversation. This is how you establish authority in silence. In meetings, say less, but change more. Every room has a hidden hierarchy. It's not the official structure on paper, it's the emotional map. Who sets the tone, who others seek approval from, who people imitate. You don't gain that position by dominating. You gain it by withholding, observing, and speaking. When stakes are high, the fewer words you speak, the more power each one carries. Say nothing for the first 20 minutes. Let everyone reveal their motives, their insecurities, their allegiances. Watch who needs attention. Watch who positions themselves. You're learning the game before entering it. Then, when someone makes a suggestion, an accusation, or a bold move, wait a beat, 2 beats. Let the tension build, then speak with surgical clarity. 1 sentence, 1 sharp angle. That's enough. You've just repositioned the room around your voice and made everyone think twice about speaking again without considering how you will react. Let others build alliances first, then fracture them. In any social group or power structure, alliances form quickly, but most are emotionally driven, not strategically sound. They're built on shared gossip, mutual enemies, or surface-level charm. Let them form. Watch them link arms. Smile politely. Say little. Then, when you see a crack, apply quiet pressure, a whisper to the right person at the right time, a cold observation about how unreliable someone's been, a delayed correction that makes a loyalist question their leader. If you react too early by trying to split the alliance openly, you become the enemy. But when you wait, let their instability ripen and say just enough to accelerate the fracture, they tear each other apart on their own. That's how empires fall, not by outside attack, but from a seed of doubt planted by someone who didn't even look like a threat. Appear neutral until it's profitable to choose a side. In conflict-heavy environments, there's always pressure to pick sides early. Those who react first often do so from fear, fear of being left out, fear of seeming indecisive. But power players, they never react first to division. They let the lines be drawn, they let emotions flare up, and they remain exactly where no one can place them. This does two things. It makes both sides want to win you over. It gives you the power to decide the outcome by picking when it matters most. Niccolò Machiavelli, the master of political strategy, built his philosophy not on impulsive action, but on calculated restraint. His approach to power was rooted in the art of timing, silence, and strategic neutrality, allowing others to exhaust themselves while he emerged unscathed, wielding influence with precision. This principle, letting others fight, falter, and reveal their weaknesses before making a move, is the cornerstone of Machiavellian dominance. By refusing to react first, you control the narrative, shift blame, and position yourself as the arbiter of outcomes. Below, this extended exploration delves into how this strategy unfolds in group dynamics, power struggles, and high-stakes environments, offering a blueprint for wielding untouchable influence. Machiavelli's genius lay in his ability to let others expend their energy in conflict, while he remained above the fray. In any power struggle, be it political, corporate, or social, factions form quickly, driven by emotion, ambition, or fear. These alliances are often fragile, built on shaky foundations like shared grievances or fleeting charisma. The impulsive rush to take sides, aligning with one group to gain favor or avoid isolation. But Machiavelli understood that premature commitment is a trap. By refusing to engage early, you preserve your autonomy and position yourself as a prize both sides seek to win. Imagine a corporate boardroom where two executives vie for control, each rallying supporters with promises or threats. The instinct is to align with one to secure your place, but the Machiavellian strategist waits. You observe the arguments, note who wavers, and identify the cracks in each side's armor. While others burn energy building coalitions, you remain neutral, your silence making you an enigma. Both sides, eager for your support, reveal more than they intend, their fears, their leverage, their desperation. When the conflict peaks and one side gains the upper hand, you align with the likely victor, not out of loyalty, but because they will owe you the most. Your support, given late and deliberately, becomes their lifeline, ensuring their gratitude and your influence. And if both sides collapse under their own weight, even better, you step into the chaos with clean hands, untouched by the conflict's fallout. The ashes of their failure become your foundation to rebuild the narrative in your favor. This is not cowardice. It is the art of turning others' recklessness into your opportunity. By letting others fight first, you ensure that your move, when it comes, is not just strategic but inevitable. Silence is not merely the absence of action. It is a weapon that shifts the dynamics of any group. In tense situations, whether a heated meeting, a public dispute, or a social betrayal, the person who reacts first often absorbs the pressure. They become the target, the one scrutinized, blamed, or dismissed. Conversely, the one who remains quiet, whose thoughts remain veiled, becomes a blank canvas onto which others project safety, wisdom, or authority. Machiavelli wielded this silence to redirect blame and seize the spotlight without appearing to strive for it. When tensions rise, resist the urge to offer solutions or defend your position. Let others scramble to fill the void. They will throw accusations, shift guilt, or posture as saviors, each move revealing their motives and weaknesses. A colleague might accuse another of mismanaging a project, sparking a flurry of defenses and counterattacks. While they argue, you stay silent, observing who overplays their hand, who seeks approval, who who betrays insecurity. Once the dust settles and regret creeps in, when people realize their outbursts have cost them credibility, you step forward, your words calm and precise, offer insight rather than opinion. You don't appear entangled in the conflict, but above it, a voice of reason in a room of chaos. This calculated delay does more than shield you from blame. It amplifies your influence. Others, exhausted by their own emotional displays, look to you as the steady hand. The spotlight shifts, not because you demanded it, but because your restraint made you the only one who seems in control. By refusing to engage early, you let others burn their credibility while you emerge as the one who can restore order. When accused or questioned, most people instinctively defend themselves, eager to clear their name or prove their worth. This is a fatal error. Defense is a reaction, and reaction surrenders control. A Machiavellian mind never defends, it redefines. By reframing the situation, you turn an attack into an opportunity, shifting the narrative to your advantage. Consider a scenario where a rival publicly questions your intentions, perhaps implying you're disloyal or incompetent. The reflex is to deny the accusation, to argue your case, but this only validates their attack, putting you on the defensive and letting them dictate the terms. Instead, pause. Let their words hang in the air, then, with calm precision, reframe their aggression as a flaw in their character. If I were driven by emotion, I'd react the way you are now, but I'm focused on solving the problem. In one move, you've cast their attack as impulsive and immature, while positioning yourself as the mature, solution-oriented figure. The group no longer sees an accuser and a defender, they see an erratic aggressor and a steady leader. This redefinition is not about denying the accusation, but about changing the conversation entirely. Every pause you take before responding is a door to higher ground. By refusing to engage on their terms, you force others to follow your narrative. The group, consciously or not, begins to see the situation through your lens, and your influence grows without a single shout or plea. Machiavelli's ultimate weapon was timing. By never reacting first, he allowed others to reveal, divide, accuse, defend, and collapse under their own weight. His eventual move, whether a word, an action, or a subtle gesture, felt not just strategic but inevitable, as if no other outcome was possible. This is the power of delayed action. It transforms your move from a choice into a necessity, from ambition into destiny. In any conflict, the early movers expose themselves. They fight, they flail, they try to solve problems prematurely, revealing their strategies and vulnerabilities. You, however, remain detached, your silence building anticipation. When you finally act, the moment is ripe. The room is exhausted, the players are weakened, and the stakes are clear. Your words or actions delivered with surgical clarity don't just seem smart, they seem necessary. They don't look like ambition, they look like order being restored. Picture a negotiation where tempers flare and proposals fail. Others rush to offer solutions, each trying to claim victory. You wait, observing the fault lines, who's desperate, who's bluffing, who's overcommitted. When the chaos peaks and no one has gained ground, you speak. A single well-crafted proposal, grounded in the weaknesses you've observed, shifts the entire dynamic. It doesn't feel like a power grab, it feels like the only path forward. You've made the room turn itself into chaos, and now you walk through it untouched, the one who brings clarity where others brought noise. This is the essence of Machiavellian power, not to win the moment, but to win the dynamic. By letting others burn themselves out, you ensure that your move, when it comes, is not just effective, but mythical. It lingers in the minds of others, not as a tactic, but as a demonstration of untouchable control. Machiavelli's rule is not about passivity, but about strategic restraint. It requires discipline to resist the urge to react, to defend, or to engage when provoked. It demands patience to let others expose their intentions, exhaust their resources, and create their own downfall. But this restraint is what makes you untouchable. While others chase status, you chase position. While they chase arguments, you chase timing. In practice, this means cultivating silence as a tool. In meetings, let others speak first, revealing their agendas while you gather intelligence. In conflicts, let insults or accusations linger unanswered, forcing the aggressor to overextend. In alliances, let others commit before you, ensuring you hold the leverage when the time comes to choose. Every pause, every delay, every moment of restraint is a step toward greater control. This strategy also requires emotional discipline. Emotions are bait, anger, pride, fear, all designed to pull you into premature action. Machiavelli knew that every emotional outburst is a confession, revealing what you value, what you fear, what you need to protect. By staying composed, you deny others this map of your psyche. You become unreadable, ungraspable, and thus uncontrollable. Machiavelli's rule is a timeless guide to power in any arena where human dynamics reign. By refusing to react first, you let others reveal their weaknesses, exhaust their energy, and create the chaos that you will ultimately master. Your silence becomes a weapon, your restraint a strategy, and your timing a force that reshapes the battlefield. When you finally act, it is not with the desperation of those who moved too soon, but with the clarity of one who has seen the entire game. This is real power, not the loudest voice, but the one whose silence commands the room, not the one who fights first, but the one who waits, watches, and wins when it matters most. By mastering the art of strategic restraint, you don't just survive the game, you own it. That is Machiavelli's rule, and it remains as potent today as it was in the courts of Renaissance Italy.